Okay, I guess it's counting. Gee, I should have had some type of symbolism. Anyway, it concerns what happened in Paris during the open ceremony of the Olympics and the mockery of the Last Supper of Christ. But they keep noting the painting of Leonardo da Vinci of the Last Supper. Well, there was a problem with it. It wasn't a true painting. They would never have painted that, a true Christian thing, because if you read the story about Christ establishing a new covenant, announcing it with the Last Supper, he all of his chosen disciples were males. Then why does it show the depiction of a female to the right side of Christ? I know there could be symbolisms, but there's a better painting, which is much more insightful. They didn't point it out. Try looking up the Last Supper of Christ painting and look at the one called Juan de Juanes. He was a Spanish painter during the Renaissance period. He did the Last Supper of Christ too, but it was much more accurate. And it has great levels of symbolism. You take a certain level of lighting, and you'll see halo rings over Christ and over all his apostles, except a betrayer, Judas Iscariot. But he's holding up a circular disc with a mysterious vertical line in it in his right hand. Christ is. So why don't you look over the head of Christ through the window behind him with the right shade of lighting, and look about the 3 o'clock position in the clouds. So Christ is holding a round circular disc, but see if you can see with the right, called reading the painting of a man on a throne chair, and he's turned towards Christ with his left hand, with a flashing light on the end of his hand. But what is he holding also? The same circular disc with a vertical line. What does that represent? Well, Christ kept reading of the scriptures and citing of them for the teaching of the people. What was a what were they called? They were called scroll books. And you rolled up a scroll books, they were called sticks of knowledge. So that represents the one called God the Heavenly Father of enlightenment understanding, is why what's called a spiritual signet ring of the hand of teaching in order to touch a person's mind, extending down from looking at one end of a scroll book rolled up to the other one, to the receivership of the right hand of Christ. And it represents the scroll books of Holy Scriptures. But why does it show? Why does it show? Because there was halo rings, which are round circular orders of the merit of the mind of people of learning order, called spiritual wedding rings, called halo rings. So you see, the end of the scroll book rolled up was circular too in its configuration shape. But why was it, what was the mysterious vertical configuration shape in the middle of the round circular disc of the right hand of Christ, of the Last Supper of Christ, by Juan de Juanes? Well, you take scroll books upon scroll books, roll them up, and you have higher levels of understanding. So you stack them till it forms like a pole. So now, when people's mind that are going to the physical reality symbolize, like the Lord of the Ring movie, the Dwarf Kingdom, through conceptual seeds of understanding. That's why Christ talked about parable stories of teaching order, called concepts teaching, seeds of a new beginning. Your intelligence comes up out of the ground. Following the reading of scrollbook upon scrollbook, like the pull of Moses from the great exodus of Egypt. So the minds of the people are symbolized as the ground, like dust of antiquity's forgetfulness, of well seasoning and maturity learning, to form the symbolism of stone, known as a spiritual pillar of standing order, is what it represents in the right hand of Christ in the Juan de Juanes painting of the Last Supper of Christ. Is a translation from a priest of Christ, which God taught me this. So thank you very much, as I now end up a more enlightenment order of looking to the Juan de Juanes painting of the Last Supper of Christ instead of Leonardo da Vinci. there was probably, I don't think there was any woman to the right side of Christ. So no one took notice of that. He did pick males for his apostles, didn't he? Okay, thank you very much.